Hello Pixies, and welcome to or back to my channel. It's Zoe here, and today I am introducing the March of the Fairies reading challenge, which is the most exciting thing I have done on my channel yet. So if you're interested, please stick around and we'll just jump straight into it. So first off, what is March of the Fairies reading challenge? So March of the Fairies, for short, is just a simple reading challenge where you read fairy books in the month of March. And that is what it is at its core. And I came up with this idea a while ago actually, and I meant to start my channel before March of last year so I could do March of the Fairies as one of the very first things on my channel, because Library of the Fairy is my name here on YouTube. Fairies have always been a really big part of my life, so they mean quite a lot to me, and there's so many great fairy books that I really love, and I just want to celebrate fairy books. And there's nothing like a good fairy book in that like late winter, early spring to like midsummer kind of vibe. Like that's just the perfect time of year for fairies. And with the tail end of winter and the beginning of spring on its way in March, that was the perfect time to do March of the Fairies. Also, it goes as a really good name. I know I might be the only person who does this, because at the end of the day I am a really tiny booktuber, but I thought it would be really fun to do anyway. If you'd like to join me, I would really love that, but I understand I might be the only person who does this. What is the definition of fairy? And according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, fairies are a mythical being of folklore and romance, usually having a diminutive human form and magic powers. That is a pretty vague definition. And honestly, that works great for this challenge, because I know fae and like high fae have become really popular in the fantasy and fantasy romance genres, and that's kind of what you think of when you think of fairy at this point in time if you read a lot of books. But I just want this to be a broader definition. Of course, if you want to read a romance-y fae book, high fae kind of story, that's completely fine. You don't have to be restricted to just that. So if you want to participate, what does fairy mean? You can do everything from classic fae to classic fairies, that trickstery type. You can do pixies, sprites, brownies, anything that means fairy, right? But also other things are acceptable because they can be technically counted as subgenres of fairies are elves, because the traditional Nordic like folklore mythology, the elves are also sometimes called fairies. You can also do goblins, because they're often considered a subset of fairies as well. Leprechauns, hobgoblins, they all fall into the definition of fairy. So any one of those things is allowed. Just straight off the bat, this is not supposed to be a restrictive challenge. And to go on with that, you don't have to have a fairy as a main character. You can have any kind of other being as your main character. You can have a human main character, a witch main character, a wizard, warlock, demon, whatever, as long as there's some mention of some kind of fairy. And this also goes to be, you don't even technically have to have fairies as a main character or as a character you can tangibly see. If there is a book, for example, The Magician's Daughter, where they are alluded to that there used to be these fae in the past and now you're living in this crumbling ancient fairy city, that is totally fine. That still counts because they are at least mentioned in the text. So they don't have to be physically present in order to count for this challenge. This is just supposed to be really flexible. Like, if you think it can count as fairy, then it counts as fairy, basically. Just use your best judgment. If they're pixie-like creatures, but the author has come up with a new name for them, you can also do that. That's completely fine. So now, let's get into the prompts, and then we'll talk a little bit about the prompts after I list them all. I have 7 book prompts here for you, and then I have 3 extra prompts that you can do if you would like. And obviously the 7 prompts aren't required either. If you just want to read some fairy books, just read some fairy books. That completely counts too. All prompts are completely optional. But prompt number 1 of the book prompts is continue a series. If you're currently reading a series with some kind of fae in it, pick up the next book. If you are not currently reading a series with fae in it, you can always also start one. That's also completely fine. Prompt number 2 is with a historical-like setting. Prompt number 3 is a middle grade or children's book. Prompt number 4 is with green on the cover. Prompt number 5 is set during winter. Prompt number 6 is with an animal character of some kind. And prompt number 7 is multiple points of view. So those are the book prompts, and now the little extra activity type prompts are create a bookmark based off a fairy book you read this week or enjoy in general, read outside or not in your house, and make a fun, fancy spring drink. You don't have to read a book for every prompt, obviously. Like I said before, you don't have to follow the prompts at all. But for example, say you have a middle grade fairy book, but also has green on the cover and is set in historical times. That checks all 3 prompts. You could do multiple prompts with one book. In fact, if you found one book that has all of these prompts in it, kudos to you. You succeeded. Like, great job. Quite honestly, not being sarcastic. But these are just kind of like a guide if you haven't really read fairy books before or just want something a little bit more specific. Personally, I will be reading at least 7 fairy books, even though some of mine might be able to cross over from one category to another, and I will be doing 7 videos for each of the prompts, and the other 3 optional prompts I will have scattered throughout those videos. So yeah, it's gonna be really, really fun. And obviously the other non-reading prompts, like, I wanted to just put read outside, but I understand a lot of people live in really cold climates where it's still really, really cold in March, so it might not be pleasant to sit outside at all. So as long as you like get out of your house or apartment or wherever you live a little bit and go read something else, that would be great. Creating a bookmark is a really fun activity. You don't have to make anything fancy. The bookmarks I make aren't anything fancy. They're just fun paper and stickers, and I like to make them double-sided so each one is dipped, so it's like you get 2 bookmarks for the price of one. I'll be definitely including that in one of my March of the Fairies Reading Challenge videos if you'd like to see that. But also people make really creative like beaded ones, or you can make some kind of flat origami like folded paper one, or there's those people who make the corner ones where you just stick it on the corner of the page. Just do something crafty and a little bit fun, and then make a fun, fancy spring drink. I don't care if you mix together the tea and lemonade. That's a fun, fancy spring drink. Just have fun with it. Doesn't have to be extreme or anything. Just make something a little tasty for yourself. It'll be fun, I promise. I promise it'll be fun. So, as I mentioned before, I will be doing 7 videos for 7 books for the reading challenge, and those books are going to be coming out the last week of March. So I have the rest of March in order to read these books. So starting from a week before the last day of March, there will be a video every single day with my March of the Fairies books, and I'll have the prompt in the title in case you only are interested in specific prompts. But that, just so you know, that is how I'm doing it. If you want to read 7 books, if you want to read more than 7 books, if you want to read 1 book, 2 books, whatever, that is completely fine. And also, you can read things in any in any category. You can read children's, middle grade, young adult, graphic novels, manga, whatever floats your boat. This is just supposed to be for fun. It's nothing serious. You can flex the rules however you want because there aren't really rules to begin with. And that's kind of it. This is just a reading challenge for the month of March. It's supposed to be light and breezy. I know other people do reading challenges and readathons in March as well, but this should be flexible enough that if you wanted to do another one of those and you just wanted to sneak in a little bit, it should be totally fine. So yeah, because I know there is middle grade March, I also know that there is, what's it called? Hold please. There's also Realmathon by Covers with Cassidy going on in March. So this is just supposed to be a flexible little thing. If you would like to join me, I would love to hear all about it. You can find me here on YouTube, and you can also find me on Instagram of Library of the Fairy, even though I don't post very often there, to be honest. And you can tag me with hashtag March of the Fairies reading challenge, or just at me at Library of the Fairy, and I'll find whatever thing you would like to create. I will find it and I will talk to you about it. So yeah, if you would like me to do a recommendations video for these prompts, let me know down in the comments. I don't really want to do a TBR for this, because I would like to keep my videos a little bit secret for what I'm reading, but just know I have a great blend of things, and if you really, really want a TBR, then I can make one, but I would prefer to keep it a little bit secret. And that brings us to the end of the video. I am really, really excited to be doing this. I think it's going to be so much fun. If you like this video, please like it. I would really, really appreciate it. And if you'd like to keep up with March of the Fairies, you can subscribe. I also have a ton of other videos and video concepts that I do here, so if you want to see those as well, you might want to stick around. So I guess I'm signing off now. Okay, bye.